Alright, so this might shock you. Guys, in this video, I need to show you something zoomed out, okay, looking on the daily and weekly chart, something uncanny that is absolutely mind-boggling with Bitcoin's price. Too many similarities to ignore, absolutely very interesting stuff, and there's so much I want to get into on these longer time frame charts. You guys definitely don't want to miss out. I am so excited to bring you this content today, you guys. And as well, Bitcoin actually literally still within that like $50 price range that we talked about in yesterday's video. Guys, very interesting stuff, but most importantly, we need to zoom out and look at exactly what this long-term chart is showing. So interesting, so much valuable data. Guys, I cannot wait to get into it. Let's do this. Wow, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another extremely exciting episode. We have a lot to cover, and in fact, in this episode, we wanted to do something a little bit different. Instead of following Bitcoin 100%, daily, we do want to take a step back and show you something much more interesting than the price action we're seeing at this very moment on Bitcoin's daily and weekly charts. And guys, I don't even have it on the screen just yet. It is right up here. I want to zoom out and show you all of this because so many things are lining up. And the move that we had back in the summer of 2019, this move is the key thing that we're going to look at. Because, guys, I'm just so excited. We'll get into it. So many things to explain. But guys, if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for coming by. We are still doing this giveaway in about a week. All you have to do to enter is leave a comment below and you guys can win. There's going to be 2 people who win these ledgers. And guys, on that video where we announce, whoa, look at that, a little blurry, huh? Let's take this back. On that video where we announce these 2 winners, that is when we begin the video to give away the next 2 hardware wallets. Extremely exciting, guys. I have not been this excited since my doctor told me it was only a rash and it was going to go away, you guys. No treatment needed. So exciting. Let's get into these charts. So guys, before we really jump into the meat and tomatoes of this video, I do want to just point this out one more time, guys. I do think that this absolute consolidation is going to be a big move when it happens. This, continues. It had a little break yesterday, but really you can chalk this up. You can scissor this out just like these moves here. It is still in the same exact area, still hugging 86.50, right around that area, guys. Super interesting to look at on the daily chart, but enough of that. We don't really want to spend too much time talking about that. What I want to spend a lot of time talking about in this video is this chart here, you guys. Okay, if you take a zoom back, okay, now this chart actually goes pretty far back, but I want to showcase to you what happened in the summer of 2019 and why these lines are so important and why something critical has just happened over the last week in regards to these lines. And I really just want to dive right into it, guys. So if you guys saw yesterday's video, you have a little bit of a preface to what these lines are and why they're so important, but I really want to take a zoom back, okay? So these lines, if this in fact is the bottom right here, if like the $6,800 level roughly was the bottom at the bottom of this descending channel, okay, that would be very similar to the pattern that we had back here, okay? These 3 lines are completely parallel with each other and they're sloping to a very specific pattern. These lines down here had a specific pattern and those patterns completely line up, over 6 months later when the price action is in this area right here. These lines have played a key role. If you guys have been watching these videos, you guys know how key in just so many ways these lines were, but there's a reason for that, okay? And something extremely important we have to recognize from the last time that we tested the lightest of these purple lines right here is we had a big bounce. Now we talked about these 2 EMAs crossing, the 200 EMA and the 21. Okay, now as soon as they crossed, we didn't see much happen. In fact, it was one of the most stagnant areas in the few months surrounding this move. You can see this is one of the most stagnant moves. Okay, so we had a cross right here, and we didn't really see anything happen until about an entire month later. Okay, actually a little bit less than a month. We didn't see this massive move until a few weeks after this cross, but it was somewhat of an indication. So we go from the bottom of this line to the very top of these 3 lines. Okay, we test it for support for about an entire month, and then absolute chaos ensued in the good way. Okay, so from the top of this channel to where we ended up was 150 roughly percent. Okay, you guys, huge move. Bitcoin went at the top of this channel 5,000 all the way to 14,000. Okay, it was all the way down at 3,000 or 4,000 roughly. It did actually go down to in the 3,000s here. If we zoom back, you can see it went down to like, I think it was like 3,200 US dollars, okay? And so as soon as we got some confirmation off of this line, as well as the cross here, you guys, things essentially went chaotic. And you can see there was some kind of a funky pattern forming here. It was about a month of consolidating here, but then it just continued up. This was only halfway basically. Okay, if we take this out, if this is the entire move from the top of this line, from the top of this line to the top of the move there, this was only about halfway. Okay, we went up, had a pit stop here, and then continued up. So that's one thing to note there. And now if we're currently setting up in something similar here, okay, this is just a possibility to watch out for, because there are a few things I actually want to show you here that line up very nicely and could indicate something. Okay, I'm showing it on the screen a little bit there. Could indicate something very exciting in the future, guys. Now be careful, watch out. This is something you have to watch out for, and a lot of people are probably thinking right now, like, Tyler, okay, yeah, it did break out, it got to 14,000, but then for the next 6 months, it just went straight down, okay? So even if it did do that, why is that exciting? Well, I'll tell you exactly why that's exciting. So first, I want to show you this. So if and when this was the bottom support, okay, clearly to break out of this pattern here, we had to form an inverse head and shoulders. That's what happened, and we got to break out. Okay, back here, what we had was also a very clear pattern. It was an ascending triangle. You guys know that. Okay, it was the ascending triangle here. Here was the top. Here was the top. This was the ascending part. Boom. That was the pattern to get that break. And now we've gotten a pattern. It's a reversal pattern, a bullish pattern, just like the ascending triangle there. So it's slightly different there. However, we did break clearly back into this key purple line, and now we're on number 2. Instead of blasting straight to the third one, we're on number 2. But something else that's happening exactly at the same time as the last time is this. We're getting the cross again on here. Okay, now remember, this is a little delayed. Nothing happened immediately after these two crossed, but these crossed. And let me show you something interesting as well, okay? So a 150% move, I want to show you this and then I want to explain it. So 150% move from the top of this channel, just like last time, okay? We can draw it out. I got to zoom out a little bit because that's a pretty big amount here, okay? If we say, about 10,000, 150% move. 150% moves put us right around the 25 to 26. Now, guys, that seems a little absurd. I personally don't, I want to say this too. I personally don't think that, the point of me explaining this is not to say we touch the bottom purple line, we're going to break up to the top of the 3 lines, and then we're going to have 150% gain to 26,000. That is not what I'm saying. In fact, what I'm saying is, if anything, I think it will not be as much pressure as this one clearly had. This had a lot of pressure, absolutely bounced right out of it. But then, guys, all that pressure obviously brought it essentially straight back down to some key areas. Granted, it was actually a very good area to consolidate, where we did actually a month or two ago. Very key, important levels. But what I want to show you now is absolutely key. So you guys might see this line here. It's a little dotted line. It's white, so it's a little hard to recognize. But you see this ascending line right here, okay, guys? And you see these 2 green arrows. So this would be about close to where the 150% mark would be at the top of this. Just like 2 or 3 months from now, 150 would put us right around this area here, around like the 25 to 30,000 roughly, depending on where it broke out. But I want to show you this, guys. Okay, for the entire history of Bitcoin, it has been trading in essentially a straight line upwards. Here we go. This is all the way back in 2012. Okay, you see it here, up, out of it, immediately gets back, finds support, up, not as much out of it, as you can clearly see. It didn't break quite as much out of it. Now this time, guys, what we saw in 2018 going into 2019 was this time, for the first time for a significant amount of time, instead of finding support right at the bottom here, right around like the 7 and 8, 9,000, 10,000 going up, instead we broke below it. And that's why that pattern was so drastic, that gigantic descending triangle that was literally the result of what happened in 2016 and 2017 of so much excitement and so much price action. That descending triangle was the result of that, okay? If it pumps, it dumps. If it dumps, it pumps. And with every reaction comes a significant, the same reaction a certain way, like a yin and yang type thing, right? So this was necessary. Huge drop down. Okay, so now, this entire time, we have still been out of this channel ever since November of 2018. Over a year now, about 13, 14 months at this point. We have been out of this channel, and you notice one thing. We got rejected from this channel right at the $14,000 level the last time that we tried to break into it. This is a clear market structure here, and overall, if anything, this is the most important thing to look at of what Bitcoin is telling us on the long-term charts of where the possibilities are on these longer time frames. Okay, you see like predictions like 100,000 million get thrown around, but this is more realistic, just looking at long term. You can throw any big number out, and I think that's important. But realistically, this is what the market is showing us, that it did try to get back into this channel, and it clearly got rejected. And for 7.5 months, it essentially went down in that descending channel. Okay, now we're getting the first signs of life with this inverse head and shoulders. Again, so many bullish reversal patterns here. And now the next big target is coincidentally right around that $10,000 level, which could act as the springboard to get us back above. And again, I don't think this is going to be like this. I don't think it's going to be a straight line up. And I don't necessarily think it's going to be as squiggly and as up and down as that, but I do think it's going to be more of a curved up. But again, I think it's going to curve for a while, but I think there will be some moves that just look absolutely parabolic on this chart. There's going to be some huge moves in a very short amount of time. And guys, those are the most exciting moves, as you guys know. When you wake up and things are up a few $1,000s, that's absolutely wild. Totally reminiscent of 2017. So basically that is to say, the point of this entire thing is to sum up, is that Bitcoin, people talk about like the door to the bull market, the door to bullishness, everything. This was insanely bullish in the summer of 2019, and it tried absolutely its hardest to 100% confirm bullishness, but it got rejected here. Now the next ultimate test of long-term, insanely parabolic moves, this is the target here. And guys, what's more exciting about this, what's most exciting about this, is that it looks likely that this will be a retest to even get into that range again. And we're talking the potential to hit over 25,000 US dollars, okay? We're talking about those level ranges within a quarter of a year, okay? This is all possible, in my opinion, okay? This is just my opinion. It is possible within 4 to 5 months. Now, keep in mind, if something would happen that drastic in that amount of time, there would be, granted, keep this in mind, if there's going to be a move that big up, you already know there's going to be a big move down, okay? There's going to be a point in the future where Bitcoin probably drops $20,000 in a day, and it probably won't even look like, like nobody will even blink their eye at some point. In my opinion, I just think that's how much value there's going to be and how much this chart speaks to me. So, and again, keep in mind, guys, the halving, only a few months away at this point. We are in the year 2020. The first month of 2020 is almost over. Time is just flying by. And we see these bullish patterns here. And that's why we love tracking them on the daily charts to see. And that's why we love trying to identify what these patterns are, because so far, for like 3 months, they've been absolutely bullish. Okay, but that's why today I wanted to zoom out and show you this chart, because it's absolutely wild in my mind. And again, this right here is the absolute key, in my opinion, for the doors to blow open, for things to go nuts. Basically what I'm saying there is this too. The culmination, the peak of the next bull run, pretty much, I think, will start that culmination, that crazy ride, when we get to this level. And I think that level will happen in a short amount of time as well, relative to each other. I think it'll be absolutely explosive. So guys, keep that in mind. I would love to know what you guys think. Again, for an entire year now, we've been outside of this, and it's something we've been talking about. You can see clearly when we broke out of this descending triangle, again, that's why I think this move had so much power. When we broke out of that, we also broke out of this like 10-year trend. And in fact, we're still not above it. So absolutely very exciting, very cool stuff. Let me know what you guys think below. Share your opinions, but just very exciting stuff, guys. The future holds so many possibilities. And guys, thank you so much for watching. I cannot wait to come to you with an update on these daily charts once we see some nice price action.